passionate about training, and I'm very passionate about just sharing and deliberating things that are important around the HR space, around strategy, and around finance. So I partner a lot with the ACHRP Institute. We've been working with them very closely for many years. So I'm always happy to be in this space. I keep saying this is my happy space around impacting knowledge and around impacting the things that we can all share and go out learning. So I also coach at senior level, mid-level, at all levels, and something that also lecture, by the way, at the Institute. So if you're doing your CHRP or if you've done your CHRP, I might have been your lecturer at one point. So that's me in a nutshell. So would like to start off maybe just as a way of introduction. Maybe what I'd like to do is, then have you also given me hosting rights, just in case? If you can, I'll appreciate. Yeah, thank you. Just in case, yeah. So just a way of maybe introduction, maybe unmute yourself, say hello, maybe what are some of your great expectations from this webinar, and maybe when even as you, if you're going to unmute your mic and contribute to the conversation, it would be nice for you maybe just to say your name and the industry that you work in, so that we're able to reference each other. And I believe this is also a place where we can network. Despite it being virtual, we have a great opportunity to remember, oh, Catherine says she's an executive coach. How does that work? You know, if I meet her at the Institute, you know, and remember that maybe if I have a question on exam or something like that, I'll be able to pick her mind. So this is a great place for us to be able to network as well. Okay. Expectations from anybody, from anyone of us? When you saw this webinar being put up here.
Good morning. Can I talk?
Yes.
Yes.
You are named as Nokia 8. The gadget, yeah, but that's fine.
Yes, my name is Jane Juguna.
Yes.
I'm a HR practitioner. Currently, I am at Gashano Training Institute. And I'd like to know about HR business partnering and how I can partner with the HR team. I've heard you talk about partnering with other institutions that you're a coach. So I'd like to learn more about HR partnering, actually, whether what we can do it with my institution. Thank you.
Fantastic, yeah. HR business partnering, what we expected as a HR practitioner, how to partner with the business and your fellow HR colleagues or partners. Anybody else? Thank you, Jane.
Good morning.
Good morning, Juliana.
How are you, everybody?
Good, thank you.
Glad to join this session this morning. My name is Juliana Nguli, working within the insurance industry, currently working with the RCA Lion Group. And really, I'm a HR professional, a certified coach. My expectation for today is I consider every opportunity as a learning opportunity, and I look forward to learning something new. Business partnering is not new to me, but I just look forward to picking something that I can learn, and I call it continuous improvement. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Juliana is my peer and maybe my senior. Juliana, how are you? So good to see you in this forum.
Glad to see you too, our facilitator. Thank you very much.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Someone else? Anybody else?
Hi, good morning.
Morning, Beryl.
My name is Beryl Oboya. I'm a certified HR resource person, currently working for a financial institution. I think my expectation, this is a new aspect for me, so I'm here to learn. But my expectation is how from a HR perspective, you can align the different functional roles into the organization strategic objective, just bringing people to work together. So that's my expectation of what I hope to learn from here. Thank you.
Yeah, great expectation, just like Juliana, continuous learning, where we are and how do we impact the business from a strategic point of view, from a HR perspective, what are we expected to bring to the business? Okay, great. Anybody else? think this is going to be a great session. I'm looking forward to it.
Morning.
Morning. Hi, Anthony.
My name is Anton Kabi. I'm a HR consultant. Previously, I worked as a HR business partner without training, of course, but I am a HR practitioner by training. My expectations is that I am going to get more insights about HR business partnering, so that even in my consultancy activities, I am able to impact on the industry, so that many of the employers will understand the concept of HR business partnering. Thank you.
Oh, fantastic. So, Anthony, was your job title HR business partner when you were in mainstream business?
Yeah, when I was employed, I worked as a HR business partner, because previously I had worked as an operations manager.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, nice. I think we really got rich experience in the house. I believe if all our years of experience were calculated and put together, it would be more than maybe more than 100 years of work experience. So we're in a good place where we can share what have been some of the learnings, what we need to do at the business, what we need to really support the business with, but also how can we make sure that our impact is being felt? I think that's the most important thing. When people call you a HR business partner, and everybody is a partner in one way or another, whether you're in finance, whether you're in legal, whether you're in operations, the heart of the business. So we all know that everybody should bring themselves and bringing their expertise to be able to significantly impact the business. Feel free to share as we go along, and also if you want to put anything on the chat box, I'll try to look at it from time to time. So what do we want to, in the next 2 hours, how do we want to spend our time? We want to look at what is HR business partnering from a theoretical point of view, so that we take it to a practical point of view, just understanding what it is. And I believe when we started off HR many years ago, I've been in HR maybe 30 years. So you can work my age backwards, by the way. There was nothing like HR business partner. But then in the 2000s, whoa, it was the new buzzword. And organizations changed titles that we want to call people HR business partners. And maybe when we looked at it critically, because there's a time we came around the table with a couple of my HR practitioners, peers, and we sat down and we thought, what is this new monster that suddenly has come to town? Very fashionable, people saying that now we are HR business partners. How are we supposed to play in the field? How are we supposed to position ourselves? And we decided to do a little bit of more research. So it's a place that I like to impact and just share my experience and knowledge. At the same time, the businesses had already started evolving and thinking. People need to assert themselves in a certain way, bringing that expertise and taking the training and the skills and their deliverables actually to the heart of the business, impacting the line managers for them to be better prepared to manage the teams that they are responsible for. So we also look at some of the models for HR business partnering, roles and responsibilities of a HR business partner, how to effectively lead as a HRBP, working with the senior management team, because that is where the crux of the matters are, leading and managing the people agenda, transforming HR business partnership roles, implementing the HR business partnering, and cultivating, building a successful business partner. Okay, so if you were to continue looking at this model, then you'll be expected to look at all these. But today we'll really dive into the first three for us to be able to understand and to be able to take it forward. Please feel free to interject if you need clarification or you need to contribute to the discussion. I'm happy to have the training going like that. So let's say, so what is HR business partnering in your wildest dreams? If you look at a job description, a job advert, and say, we are looking for a HR business partner, when you look at it, do you say, oh, okay, I'm not that, I can't apply. But when you look at it closely, you say, oh, okay, there's some resemblance of what I know, everything, or maybe everything that I know. Anyone would like to try? I don't want to be the only one speaking through and through. So let's have a look at it. What is HRBP? Why HRBP? HR duties and responsibilities, how to excel in this role. You know, that's what we'll be looking. Difference between a HRBP and a HR manager, and how to track efficiency of a HR business partner. Doesn't it look very exciting? Especially when you think, is there any difference between a HRBP and a HR manager? Okay. Anyone who'd like to try? Just Anthony, without putting you on the spot because you did it, maybe you can start it off for us without putting you on the spot. But I'm putting you on the spot. That's why introductions are good.
I think from where I came from, and I told you without the training on HR business partnering,
Yeah.
It is a function that tries to link the HR function itself with what happens in the entire business by merging by bringing all other departments close to the HR department and allowing them to be partners together with the HR function in the organization.
Thank you, Anthony. Yeah. You've actually nailed it, very spot on. Is it always possible when we think about it like that? Is it practically possible? Is it something that we think that should work? Yes. Yes, Mary. Is it Jane or Mary?
Jane.
Yeah, Jane, I've seen you on mute here.
I've not muted.
Sorry, we are losing you.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes. I think I would just like to listen first.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. That's fine. So let's do some introduction. Okay. So the buzzword came. We were all expected to turn into HR business partnering without maybe much introduction or knowledge, but we started gravitating and knowing that for us to be successful, we need to plug in and to make sure that we are supporting the line managers in what they do. And that meant that we needed to understand the business. If you don't take anything away from this webinar today, and it's so early as we start, is that we really need to understand the business strategy, the business models, how the business hedges itself for the next 5 years. What are some of the key discussions that are happening for you to be able to position yourself as a successful business partner? I think that's the most important thing. And then after that, unpacking that strategy and seeing, as a HR expert in the business, how am I going to position the HR agenda to make sure that it's meeting the business needs? Once we understand that, and that is something that we discuss every day, that we need to understand the business. But for you to be a successful HRBP, you really need to understand how the business is run. You become almost like the owner of the business. And nowadays, we like to say that we want to bring in people with an entrepreneurial mind for them to be able to look at this business as their own, from the intern that you bring in to the CEO that you bring in. So the entrepreneurial mind and spirit and business acumen is not a preserve of the senior management now. It is for everybody. So the mantra in HR recruitment then becomes very true and is validated of leading self, leading others, and leading the business. for us to be able to know that we're able to contribute significantly to the business. It also goes to show that if we want continuity of our business in terms of giving stability to the people who work in that business, we all need to think that I am a business owner. You know, while expecting a salary at the end of the month, how do I make sure that this business is sustainable during my stay? You know, people leave because of various reasons. You know, if you look back at companies which have been in existence for 100 years, 85 years, for many, many years, what have they done to be in existence? You know, what are some of the things? And studies have gone to show is that they continuously want people to think that they are the business owners, and especially the Fortune 500 companies, for them to know that they will be in existence for a long period of time. So we go on to say that the slides allow me not to read everything, but just to unpack and to have that discussion around HR business partnering is really understanding the business and how do I position myself as a HR practitioner to be able to make impactful change to the strategy that is there. So we all know that HR plays a crucial role as a business partner, which has a significant impact in the overall business performance and ultimate success. My friend and I started off, I just want to say the ultimate business performance and ultimate success. We started off a small business 16 years ago. And of course, we all know that all of us here, if I ask you whether you have a small business, you will say yes, you know, like all of us, you know, taking something on the side and complementing your, supplementing or complementing your salary or income that you get. So we started off a business 16 years ago, which we are very passionate about. And why I want to reference that is because it was a dream that we saw. It wasn't a dream, it was a need that we saw for the community around assistive technology. And that business has now continued to thrive. And we look at it, so recently we did our strategy, our 5-year strategy. And we looked how far back we have come. And finally, we could be able to bring in experts, real experts, you know, a senior HR manager, a real accountant, programming people, but the blood and the tears of business performance and ultimately to see success. Success for us was, we don't make money because it's a non-profit. We don't make any money. We are not even paid. My partner and I don't get paid, you know, at all from the business. First, because we couldn't afford. And as we continued, then we just knew that we had other pressing needs to make this work. But finally, we're in a place where I was able to employ recently a HR business partner. In fact, that's what we call them. And for me, we look back and say the performance of the business, and she did understand that she really needed to impact and she needs to come in and impact the business. That's why I'm saying that it's important for us, the small businesses that we have, which will grow into years and years to come. In fact, we were saying that 100 years, if we are not here, we still want this organization to be so well run and taking it to the next level. Not just employing many people, because we know that we'll be expected to employ many people in their thousands, but we're also very cognizant that we need to continue leaving the mark that we started, the vision that we bore, me and my friend or my business partner, for many years to come. So it just goes on to show that if you are thinking about being in the heart of the business and the longevity of it after you are gone, what do people say about you? How did you impact that business? And that's something else that I'd like to challenge all of us as we are working in the places that we work. What do people say about you? How do you show up and how do you support the business? While at it, if you were to leave, what would people say if they look back and say, oh, they did a remarkable job, you know? And people who are in consultancy, if I was to go in and get a consultancy and maybe I have to work on the documents a previous consultant had done, would I be happy to go and say, this consultancy did a remarkable job? You know, they did everything that was required of them, of the TOR, or even they did much better. That is the partnering that we are talking about. That if I pick that document and say, oh, okay, now they want to do, maybe you did a skills gap, and now me, I'm going to do in a job evaluation, and they say there was a previous consultant who did it, and if I picked it and they say, oh, he did a good job, we can leverage on here and move forward. So it's important for us to be able to think about the present and the future, and how, if we were not there, what impact have we left in the business? So we go on to say that HR business partnering takes ownership and leadership of change management projects. You know, the thing is that as much as it's everyday routine that we are going to be expected to do for the business, you know, you're expected to do the functions of HR, you know, recruitment, selection, performance, compensation, training, all those things. But it's very important that we take ownership and show leadership in whatever we are doing, so that people can believe and trust that we are doing the right thing. But again, the most important thing is the area around change management in the projects that we are expected to execute. So as a HR business partner, you go to the department and say, hey, the finance department, what's the strategy of the finance department that really talks into the strategy of the organization? And for me as a HR business partner, what am I supposed to be doing to support the HR department? The finance department, for them to be able to execute that. That's the role really that Preeti sits in. If they have projects that they are doing, how does HR come into play to support those projects in that department? But also looking at totality in the projects that the company is running, for me to be able to plug in and show that support. The thing is that we all want line managers to be the ones leading their teams. But on a grand scheme of things, sometimes it happens, and sometimes they're hard pressed to do that, especially when it comes to matters disciplinary, matters performance. They will still come to HR and say, oh, I think HR needs to handle this, instead of let me go to HR and bring in HR for us to have this conversation. Listen to that conversation. I am going to HR for HR to handle this, instead of coming to HR and say, oh, you've said this a couple of times. We need to unpack it, me and you, for us to get the results that we need. So the thing is that line managers always want to not take full responsibility of ownership from a HR perspective in leading their teams, because that is the work that they are employed to do. 75%, if you are leading teams, then you need to unpack the HR agenda, motivating, coaching, mentoring, making sure that people have the capability for them to be able to execute the role. But on the reverse is that most of the time is that they are doing the operational work, because again, you can't fault them all the time. They are so hard pressed by the business to deliver results. And then they lose foresight. And that's when something happens, they run to HR for HR to come quickly and support them. So we want to find out in this conversation today, how do we change that narrative and to make sure that we are deliberate in supporting line managers in saying, you're the one in charge of your team. You need to create some muscles around HR. And this is how HR is going to support you to be able to do that. Are we together? Okay. HR introduces policies and best practices focused not only on increasing employees' performance, but also maintaining the high level of employee satisfaction and designing a unique organizational culture. We've got a big responsibility. While culture is a key responsibility of senior management and HR in terms of executing and developing programs, for us to have that unique organizational culture is a real key responsibility of HR. HR leadership and management of projects results in building an organizational competitive edge. So we want to unpack some of the things that we have had here. What is a competitive edge and how does HR contribute to that? If you are really going to take the ownership and leadership and making sure that we are in charge of HR change management and business performance, how are we going to do that? We can do that by knowing that we are strong HR business partners. And then also the conversation came from, I'm a HR business partner, but you need to be a strong HR business partner. So everything kept increasing. But that's the truth of the matter, that the business needs strong people to be able to execute the role. What do we mean by strong people? People who are experts in that area, people who have apt use of emotional intelligence, self-awareness, people who are self-regulated under different circumstances, whether hard circumstances that come to the business or just even when there's good change and we are thriving as a business, we need to be using our emotional intelligence in a way that people can rely on us. Okay. Anybody who'd like to give some rejoinder in what I have said? Then if you have a business or you're planning to run a business, if you have employed one, that person, how do they show up in the business? In your line of business, do HR managers run to you? Do managers run to you or saying that come and solve the problem, or do they come and say, how can we unpack this? I know that I'm in charge of this, and how can I unpack it and make the best decisions for the business? Anyone would like to share the experience? Okay, please do so. Okay. So we've seen some of the aspects around bring. Yeah, Anthony, I see you've unmuted.
Yeah, I would like to emphasize probably what you did say previously, but I would also want to probably think along a different line. Yeah. Whenever line managers don't have problems, they will keep to the lines, and they will not come to the HRs for mentoring, for coaching, and all that. Mm-hmm. So what happens for the HR is that they are used at some point by line managers to go and rubber stamp wrong decisions. And they come in here, instead of understanding what the employees are going through and whether they need coaching, mentoring, counseling or something like that, they'll come running to you. We need to do away with these people. We need to dispense with them. They're not good performers. And probably it is their error. And now they are coming to tell you to rubber stamp that. In aspects like that, I feel like the HRs are somehow misused by the line managers.
Very true that line managers can sometimes exert their authority in a negative manner, and they expect HR to be able to complete the process, which is not correct. That's why I say that we need to show up strongly in the business, and we need to be more brave in terms of saying, why am I dismissing this person? What are some of the things that you have? By this time we are saying that someone needs to go, or we need to make a drastic action, take a drastic action with their processes, and their processes around how to dismiss a person. And the thing is that I have a great mantra for me that has worked for me for many years. We need to make sure that everybody is successful in the business. As an individual, then I'm going to be more bespoke around making sure that everybody is successful. Because if we brought you in, what has suddenly changed that you become such a poor performer, or your attitude has changed so significantly for you to be said that you need to go? What are PIPs for? What are continuous conversations and feedback, which we are so deliberate on now and very high on saying, let's give continuous feedback. Let people solicit for feedback. Let's have platforms and avenues for us to be able to showcase our work and the talent, the extra skills that we have. So by the time someone is coming to run to HR, and I agree with you, Anthony, when everything is hunky-dory, nobody comes, nobody, whatever. But when there is a problem, they're always positioning themselves and saying, no, I can't work with this person. Okay. Rachel, I have seen you have unmuted. Did you want to contribute?
Sorry, by mistake, no.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, great. Anybody else who would like to contribute to that discussion?
I think, Catherine, what I can say, and really Anthony is very right, I think it's HR really to be there to guide. Yes, this is what the line manager wants. He wants this person fired. He wants this person moved from their departments. But I think at that point, HR becomes a coach. You really want to find out what has happened. Why are we doing this? What action have we taken? But again, we should not just be pushovers. You must stand your ground and even guide in terms of the process that has to be taken before a decision is arrived. Because should there be a litigation, then who is on the dock? It's the HR, really. I think it's a question of really guiding the managers through the process and ensuring you understand. Yes, I understand what you are saying, but there is a process to be taken. Has this employee been taken through a proper PIP? Yes or no? Yes. What was your role in this PIP? Did you just sign a PIP and you just leave it? Did you work with this employee? Did you make it clear what the expectation was? Were you monitoring and also coaching this particular employee in terms of them understanding what is expected of them? So I think we must push back. We can't be seen just to be accommodating others. We must push back, but of course, push back with clear reasons. And making sure that everybody gets to understand the process.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it any better. That if we need to follow process, the litigation and the people who are always on the dock is HR. I mean, our jobs are so risky. Let me just put it like that. That you find yourself in unfamiliar grounds, and the person, even the thing is that the line manager distance themselves from this process and say it's HR who hires and fires, and without showing the much needed support that they are required to do. In fact, if anything, take it back and show them this is the process, with a lot of humility and diplomacy and empathy, and let's always have those discussions, really pushing back and saying, these are the risks. I like to show the risks. These are the risks. If you can bear the risk as the line manager, as the business, then we can have those conversations. However, these are the consequences. These are the risks and these are the consequences. But also, this is how we can remedy the situation. And before we remedy the situation, I keep on saying, by the time we're employing this person, of course, the interview stage, we all agree that even if how elaborate and how good our interview processes are, sometimes just one will fall through the crack. And fall through the crack is about maybe the expertise is not really what they showcase during the interview stage, no matter how rigorous it is, or maybe even the attitude. And I believe all of us here really we hire for attitude and train for skill. We want to bring in people with the right attitude because people with the right attitude help us reinforce our culture and diversity programs. That's the basic. And then after that, the expertise, the skills and the experiences that people bring, then we start showing it. If we take time and let line managers hire right, that is where it begins going bad. If HR has no due influence in making sure that they are looking and helping, supporting line managers, again, partnering. Look at where partnering starts. Positioning the right job as we advertise it so that it attracts the right people, making sure that the interview process is being done correctly, that the panel really is not influenced to take Catherine, while we know that Rachel and Juliana were the best people. In fact, we are spoiled for choice. Now we have Rachel and Juliana who are such good candidates. But because I'm known to someone in the business and I have some resemblance of some knowledge for this job, then you bring me in. What do? That is where it starts going bad. So partnering at every stage of the business is extremely important. So the thing is that what do we understand? Understand the business, understand the processes, understand the policies, and understand the regulatory environment in the area that you operate in. It's extremely important. Okay, so thank you for that. So HR business partners are HR professionals who work closely with the business, senior leaders or leaders, I would like to say, in order to develop a HR agenda that closely supports the overall goals of the organization. The process of alignment is known as HR business partnering and may involve the HR business partner sitting on the board of directors or working closely with the board of directors, or also the business, not necessarily the board. The idea of business partnering was popularized by David Urich. You know him, the father of Urich, the father of HR, who sees HR business partner as part of a successful business modern HR function alongside shared services and center of expertise. We'll unpack our shared services and center of expertise. So again, emphasizing how we started. Knowledge of the business, understanding how the business works and what is required of the business. Working very closely with the line managers, with the senior people, with the board of directors, and making sure that the HR is being felt in terms of what they're bringing to the business. And I would like to say that even if you're the HR director or the chief of HR, then of course your work will be to interact and to give reports and to make presentations to the board. But how are you trickling it down to let's say you're a big organization and you have 50 HR practitioners, or let's say you are the director of HR and you have maybe 7 people in your department because it's a big organization as well. It's your responsibility to drum it in that we are HR business partners. Whatever titles we give, whether we are all business partner 1 to 7, or whether senior HR business partner, or even if we call ourselves HR manager, assistant HR manager, senior HR officer, whatever it is. The thing is that partnering is the key game changer in an organization from a HR perspective. So what I'm trying to say also is that the head of HR needs to fully understand their role of partnering at senior level and cascading it down to their team. Because if they're not there, how will these people be able to support the business as well? That's something else that sometimes I see that as leaders, people lose focus and sight of, and saying that sometimes they want to keep to the knowledge to themselves, in terms of exposing people to those higher responsibilities. I think it is wrong. Not I think it is wrong. It is extremely unfair. Because if I am going to retire and the rest of the people don't know how it is done at board level, then what have I done? And sometimes I'm not saying if your board is extremely confidential and you can whatever, you can give someone an opportunity to come and say to the board, for me, I'm very keen on you support to the board and to the MD and say, I'm very keen in making sure that everybody understands how my function integrates with the business. So I'd like to give opportunities from time to time for my people to come and present this agenda of HR, especially if it's an open agenda that is not very confidential. You have your people coming to present. Just think of how it does to them. Look at the motivation. And look at if you're making sure that you are pushing your diversity and retention programs. It just spurs up potential and it spurs up people thinking, I've been given an opportunity to go and present to the board. If you're not there, that's how you start building your succession plan and pipeline and stuff like that. But sometimes we are so close because, board is all confidential, we can't do anything, But they're the same ones who help you prepare those board papers, and then maybe you consolidate whatever is confidential. Again, we need to make sure that it's trickling down, it's cascading down from the top to the very bottom for people to understand and to support and to be able to enjoy these processes. Because if you're not showing them, then we are failing in one way or another. So that alignment is extremely important at all levels of the business. And we will see some of the models that David Ulrich has already seen, and they're working. And the thing is that what I like about this discussion is that there's nothing new under the sun. We are just saying we are doing it, but maybe we are not doing it in a structured manner. So if you want to bring it in a structured manner in your organization, this is a good place to be and listen and to see, we already have this, but maybe I just need to reinforce it more in the business so that we can get better results. And for you to start thinking, what are better results for me? What is better results for the business? Maybe it's something that the business has always said, we need better results. And maybe when you think, maybe these are the better results in terms of productivity, in terms of innovativeness, creativity, all those things that the business clamor for, where we get ourselves to become more competitive. We are trying to look for a competitive edge for the business. So when we look at shared services, something else that really came up in the recent past, we need to have shared services and to become a center of expertise. What is that? Anybody who's running a shared service structure in the organization, and how does it look like? Shared services.
Yeah, in my organization, we have a shared services where we have about 8 businesses, and HR is supporting all the 8 businesses. So it has a lot to do with a matrix reporting relationship, where you're reporting to several CEOs and really supporting all these businesses.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. And we can talk about the advantages and disadvantages of shared services, but it's something many organizations have embraced. Someone else, shared services? Shared services. Shared services gives you a good opportunity for you to think about, to broaden your expertise in the business and knowledge. And so normally what happens is that we have the group company, the holding company, and then in there maybe we have many arms of business, and we say instead of every entity having its own finance, legal, marketing, the support services, HR, let's centralize this function at group level, and then we trickle down. And what a nice way to become a strong business partner. Savings on cost, standardization, transparency, and equity. The model of shared services really is a game changer for any business, because then services are offered from a centralized place. All HRs, the HR sits at the group and be able to look at the business, give services to the business. And it calls for you to understand all those arms of the business. It's important. Then you become a next center of excellence and a center of expertise. The same. Finance is centralized, and it gives services to all the business entities. Sometimes there's been conversations around slow delivery of services to one arm of the business, because there's so much. So it's even when you have a shared service, it's important for you to leverage and to really look at how many people can optimally serve the business. If you're 1,000 people and you have only 3 HR people, you won't be able to manage. The ratios, they say, I don't know whether it has moved, 1 HR for every 100 people. So, or is it 50 now? I don't know. And of course, many other things will be taken into consideration. Automation, if you're using technology a lot and stuff like that. So it's important, just when you think about those shared services, how much you need to bring in technology to support you. But if you're still from a very doing things from a manual perspective, then it becomes very difficult for you to become the center of expertise. So these things, while you're looking at how efficient the business will be, cutting down on cost, the initial setup can also be very expensive because you need to think of providing and using technology as much as possible. I worked in an organization where it had 120,000 employees, but the models that were there were fantastic. And why I say so, because then Africa was one cluster. In one cluster, we had the West, we had the North, we had and the South, of course. We all understand that. So that the South, then South Africa was like the hub for the Eastern, Central, and South Africa. So we had the shared services from there. And even if you sat in Kenya or you sat in Seychelles, for example, then we all used to sit in that one platform of the shared services. But the use of technology was fantastic. So even if someone from China came to work in Kenya, it was seamless because the platforms were the same, the policies were the same, of course, taking into consideration the labor laws of each country and making sure that those are not broken. But in terms of putting in best practices, then the company say that we need to adhere to the real best practices. If let's say the UK 28 working days, 28 days annual leave days was what was there, then in the North, then it was 28 working days. Did people feel, like in Kenya was 21 working days? It's what it is. It's best practices of what we are trying to do. South Africa, 15 working days, but in Kenya and the rest of the regions is 21. We made sure that South Africa had 21 working days. Was that a good win for the people in South Africa? Certainly it was, So making sure that even these shared services were able to standardize as many things as possible. But of course, also standardizing some of these policies, also you have to cost them and to see whether the business can be able to support. So you become a center of excellence and you keep planning and keep making sure that things are working. Anyone who has, Juliana, how does it work? Does it work well? Do you feel that shared services is the way to go from a business perspective?
Yes, there are some shared services, of course, not all of them, like we have finance that is really sitting with each of the businesses, but services like HR, like there's also a group finance. We also have the research and partnership and data analytics, actuarial. Those are all functions that are really sitting at the shared services and supporting all the businesses. Of course, each structure has its own challenges and also good things, but I think all the challenges are surmountable. And I can say we've been successful in supporting all the businesses, really in executing. And as you said, it's a question of just everybody understanding the strategy of each business. What are they driving this particular year? And how are the shared services then plugging in to support and to ensure that the business executes and achieves their strategic intent for the strategic objectives for the year. So I think it's worked well. Definitely, I believe there are areas of improvement, and it's worked well.
Exactly, yeah. And it makes people really understand every arm of the business, So that's when you start thinking, wow, there's a lot to learn. And it's interesting work that is being done by the business. So even if you have one entity, the thing is understanding how it is being done. If it's in manufacturing, how do we manufacture? And why do we manufacture? How do we sell? How do we make sure that our sales are bringing in profit? If it's IT, how do the systems work to make sure that we are able to work? So just understanding the whole business. Some people really do not have, I don't know, is it the interest? I just look and say, interest yourself in the business so that you can be able also to look for opportunities. How do people move from one department to the other? Because it's showing that interest and saying, this is a place I've always been passionate about. I'm going to move into that. I know many sales technical people who have moved to pre-sales And they are fantastic because they understand the technical part of the business, and they say, I enjoy selling, and they make some of the best salespeople that we have in the business. So there are lots of opportunities, and for us to be able to nurture as HR business partners to encourage people and support people to look at the business holistically, and they might just find opportunities that everybody so clamors for, and to support them into getting into those opportunities. Okay, great. So that's the definition of really looking into it. So let's look at some of the models that when you think about it, I have said there's nothing new under the sun. But if I'm thinking of becoming a HR business partner, or this thing that everybody says HR business partnering, how do I even bring it back home? How do I make sure that if I'm going to position this agenda to the board or to SMT for us to think of partnering with the business, and I want to do things differently, this is a place to be, and this is how you would do it, okay? The classic or rich model, who does what? You know, we have the business partners, we have the shared services, and we have the centers of excellence. That's whatever. So with the business partners, going to each department and saying this is what it is to establish relationship with customers, line managers, and business units. Establishing that relationship, people to know that they can really count on you and what you would be able to support them with. I think that's what the business always feels, that sometimes there's a disconnect. We shared services, and sometimes HR takes the beating. But I don't like to drive that conversation, because HR is what is the glue that holds everything together. So if you are not feeling HR, there's a problem I keep thinking there's a problem from that side. And HR is not a place to firefight. We want to be more preemptive. We want to be more agile, looking at what is required of the business and going out to make sure that we are supporting. So being the center of the business, and the center of the business is all around performance management. If we know exactly what is expected of us, then reinforcing all these other things that executes performance management and the systems that we have put in place. Correct remuneration, training and development, coaching in the organization, opportunities that come out there, reinventing our services and products for our customers, making sure that we are compliant in all the areas that we work in. Then that performance, we won't even be talking about performance. Performance is seen throughout the organization. But if we take performance as a one-track event, that at the end of the year, that is when we think that is when we are evaluating performance, then we are going it the wrong way. It's an everyday occurrence. The feedback that we get, the support that we are giving the employees, that performance is the glue that holds the organization. And HR has a big role to play in making sure that people understand what performance is, and then coming and saying, if we are showing these kind of results, then let's reinforce performance through these or other HR functions that we have in the organization. Then you have an easy time to sell your agenda to the board or to SMT. So when we establish our relationship with customers and line managers, then we deliver the HR services and we create HR frameworks. And those frameworks come from what I have said around performance management and all sorts of frameworks. I see other frameworks like recruitment frameworks, training frameworks, how we're going to support people on PIP. We have frameworks, and frameworks talk about the policies, the procedures that we have, what are the risks that we have, that we face, and some of the models that we have put up for the business to be able to support. Contribute to business unit plans. So how do we really contribute to business unit plans? Because every business has plans. Then how do we bring ourselves as HR to be able to contribute to those business units? Any thought, any idea? What have you done? It's things that you see now. We are putting up we are planning, let's say, let me give a good example. We are planning to, we've incubated new products or services. So they come and say that we need to employ 2 more people. So business plans, even when those plans are being done, so you need to look at manpower, or even just reskilling and upskilling. Who thought that social media platforms, that businesses would look into that and be places where they drive their business? You know, this is what we do, support their brands and stuff like that. And as a HR business person, if you really were looking into the business, did you ever think that we need to either, if people are going to use platforms like this, do I need to reskill my people? What kind of training is required for people to be able to influence our brand on social media? Working in the background to be able to post content or stuff like that? Or did you need to go out and make a job description, advertise it, and bring in people? You know, so supporting, listening to the business and preempting the business needs is to contribute to the business plans, you know, the unit plans of that department. Think of the plans that you have for next year, especially if you have a January to December financial year. Right now, what's happening? Everybody is helter-skelter. The pressure is so much because by the 12th of December, this country shuts down. We're all in the Christmas mood, holiday mood, everything has set in, people have gone and stuff like that. So the pressure, I can bet, started from October. Either you're doing your final appraisals, you're doing your business plans for next year, everybody is running to surrender their finances and stuff like that. It's a buzz of whatever. We figure ourselves in Q4 in terms of very little work gets done. It's now operational and making sure that is done. But this is the right time to start thinking from Q3 to Q4, October, November, to start thinking as a HR business partner, what am I observing for the business? What do I need to do differently next year? You know, and that's how you shine. That's the legacy we are saying, that when you're working right now or you're going to leave, how will people remember you? So contributing to those unit business plan and manage routine processes effectively and efficiently from a shared service, and develop and introduce strategic HR initiatives. You know, thrive in chaos. Either there are chaos or there are no chaos. You're always ready and you're looking. Observation is very key in terms of how you're going to push the business. Reading the documents is also very important for you to be able to position yourself as a strong business partner. Talking to people and saying, how do you see your business running next year? And how would you like HR to support you? And you will be very surprised in terms of what they say. And you'll be able to take some of those conversations to the next level. So as HR business partner is to develop organizational capabilities. How do we develop organizational capabilities? Now, me to pause there and just, when you think about it, I'm sure it's things that you do. Capabilities. What kind of capabilities are we required to develop for the organization?
One of the capabilities that I think that you need to develop in the business is mental wellness. Because in terms of somebody is fatigued the whole year you've been working, so it's the responsibility of the HR to ensure that employees, by the time they come back to work in January, they are rejuvenated enough to be able to continue with their work. So it's sensitizing, training, and just having programs for them to be able to feel, ready to work at the beginning of the following year.
It's a big ticket item for HR right now. Wellness programs to make sure that people's emotional states, physical, every state is well balanced around becoming a whole person. Okay, very, very important. And people can be vulnerable enough to come and say that I'm struggling here. how can I be supported? Okay, that's a very good one, Jane. Organizational capabilities.
I think I can say is in terms of probably building the manager capability, in terms of driving or supporting people, working in teams, knowing how to give feedback, knowing how to continuously coach their teams so that they remain focused. So I think one of the capabilities that we've continuously to build, and we can't do it enough, is really building that capacity of our managers to drive certain people, practices and initiatives that we want to see. Because as HR, we can't succeed if we are not working together with the managers. And the managers are the ones that are very close to where the action is happening in terms of managing people.
Very true. We need to
of course, people drive the business. So
it's a people agenda. It's all about people, you know. The thing about people are the most important asset. It can't be a loose talk, you know. It's the core. It's human capital is really core for the business. So these continuous conversations, continuous improvement, training, mentoring, coaching, programs that really help develop the people. And the problem with businesses is that we are so keen to provide technical programs. I don't shy away from telling my board that. We are so keen on making sure that the 2/3, even three-quarters of our training budgets, in whatever form, is all about technical. When do you ever look at me as a person? I have dreams, I have whatever. How do you develop those soft skills that I have? In fact, there was a nice article about soft skills, and I've been trying to look for it, and I can't find it because I needed to send it to my SMT. And it's such a good, because when they say soft skills is really the crux of the matter that brings in people. So as much as it's true that people need to develop technical capabilities for them to be able to do their work, but think about the individual. What do they want? When you talk to people, even a bant on the corridor, how you doing? How is everything? You know, how you performing? What would you like us to do for you more? Is the business doing more for you? More for you. And if not, then what would you like to do? You know, I really wanted to go for a course on negotiation skills. Important, because they are positioning themselves to negotiate for the business. But maybe you just thought your job requires you to negotiate. But maybe there are new aspects of negotiation that have come up in our business, and competition has already run with it. We need to position ourselves. All these soft skills, you know, people, personal effectiveness, customer service, mental wellness, how you take care of yourself, and also giving people the much needed rest around their own self-improvement. For me, I'm very keen of saying if all these seminars, free webinars that are all over within your place of career, of professionals, plug into them. If it's between 10 and 11 and it's work hours, and you've told your manager this is a good seminar that is being run by IHRM between 10 and 11 work time, but you think that is important, I don't see why we would not be given permission to do so. You know, and people tell me, oh, Catherine, my employer doesn't support such things, you know, and they are so important for me. So I say, so what do? I put on my headphones, I listen as I am working. Let's make it more supportive. If we can pay for them, pay for them. Also allow blended learning, where people go out and clamor for their own learning in spaces where they can, and do that. My organization, we give $20 for anyone. Do what you want. So people say, no, $20 is not enough, management, give us $50. You know, go to Udemy, go to a cookery class, go to a plant building class, $50 for something that you enjoy doing. You know, a hobby, go. $50 is earmarked for you. If you use it, well and good. If you don't use it, go learn, go do something that makes you happy, brings out your talent, supports you, whatever it is, learn on our tab. We know that you're going to bring it back, because remember what I said, we want people with an entrepreneurial spirit to come in. So develop organizational capabilities, line managers, like what we are saying, continuous learning, continuous and enhancement is extremely important. So from our shared services, because then we want to see that it's working, we often using single systems, HRMS, intranets, to provide basic information, and call centers for specific queries. I know a company also my previous company, you didn't come to HR. There was no need to come to HR. In fact, we were thinking, okay, fine, what else do we do here? There was a lot of work, but the internet had everything you wanted to know. How do I go to China? How would I be seconded to China or to any whatever? There is all information, and the training, the LMS had all those kind of whatever. You could come to HR, of course, but in terms of logging in and looking for services, there was extremely easy, and it was a function of all the business. You know, how do I build a car? You know, because it was a manufacturing company, components and stuff like that. You go to the intranet and be able to learn. What we're trying to say is that people become more independent. It doesn't mean that you don't come, but the information was available all the time, from a learning perspective and from a knowledge perspective. And of course, go to any department and stuff like that. So what happens, because we want to build center of excellence, when as HR business partners develop organizational capabilities, looking at what the business needs, then specialized areas such as compensation and benefits, employee relations, L&D, talent management, OD, staffing, diversity, and work planning. So we become experts in that area. And in those areas, then we're able to take back, and people are able to learn. So again, what we expected to do, who does what, is to implement HR practices, all those practices that are there, making sure that we implement across the organization, so people do understand that this is the standard we have set for the organization. This is what we're supposed to do. And from a shared services perspective, so maybe some of these services can be outsourced. I know many organizations that have outsourced their customer service, their call centers, isn't it? You know, you call and they say, oh, your call center is held in India, because maybe you try calling Amazon call center, and someone, it's someone of an Indian someone with an Indian accent will pick, but they will support you. You get what I mean? I know also many companies, like the financial institutions in this country, some of them have outsourced their call centers. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? The model to recruit, outsourcing your call center. Anyone who's tried calling a call center? Is it a good thing? Maybe outsourced to be in-house?
Yeah, I'd like to say that outsourcing is always a good idea, because it lessens the budget on the organization. However, the training of the people who are being outsourced, I think once outsourcing is done and you have the right persons you have outsourced to, it's a great idea. It takes the burden off the organization. I think it's a good idea personally. I think it's always good to outsource instead of putting a lot of strain on the organization's shoulders, and maybe you don't even have capacity. So once you have outsourced, those other people are trained by the organization that is being outsourced to. So So I think it is a good thing for the call centers. If you look at Safaricom, for example, their calls are always on time. And I know that anytime I don't know who trains them, but I think it's a great idea to outsource the issue of whatever it is.
Call center, which is not maybe your core business. Someone
Yeah.
else, the good, the bad, and the ugly of outsourcing a call center,
Okay.
or
My name is.
outsourcing some of your services.
I think I had a contrary stand on outsourcing of a call center. So, for example, for an organization, when you outsource, the people you outsource do not necessarily share the same vision and the same brand, that brand loyalty as you would when you had internal people to just carry whatever it is the organization is driving forward to. Well, when you outsource, those people are more like, I'm working because I'm paid. It doesn't necessarily align to what your strategy, your goal is. There's a good and the side. So that one would be a bad side for me in terms of outsourcing. If you can have it internally, that will be great.
Have it internally, yeah. So that has been cited as one of the key disadvantage of they don't have brand loyalty. They don't have this. They don't ascribe to the same culture, and sometimes the number of the turnover is pretty high. So training is always key to know your processes and your products, and to be able to answer adequately to the questions being asked by the caller. Someone else? Outsource or not to outsource any services, and it became very, very rife around outsourcing non-core functions of the business. Rachel?
Yes, thank you so much. The presentation is great. Yeah, I agree and I support the answers that have been given about outsourcing. Yeah, where the company probably doesn't even is a lean company and would want to, delegate some of the transactional activities. It works very well, even like when you look at us to the journey towards becoming HR business partners. Some of the transactional activities in HR are quite many. So if we were to dwell on them, then we would miss out on a number of, strategic focus. I mean, now in terms of the disadvantage, the people that you outsource to or the companies that you outsource to may not have the weight of your company, may not have the loyalty, may not care so much about your core things in terms of what value you attach to the people, how you've connected to the business. They may do their task very well because that is the only thing that they focus on. However, the mind, the heart of your business may not be their core thing. You get, huh? So yeah, it has its advantages, it has its disadvantages. So a company that is outsourcing then needs to have a strategy where you have very good, I think, service level agreements, so that your customers do not face challenges or they don't feel like you're aloof. And when they feel like you're aloof in this century, they will of course go to the competition. So we must watch out to ensure that our customers are not getting a raw deal, or the people that we serve are not getting a raw deal. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you all for those inputs. I guess it's more of your service level agreements, collecting data and analyzing that data and seeing how is it working for the business, and making sure that continuously you're having those conversations and the training is happening. There's a lot around outsourcing, and by the time a company decides to outsource its whole business, because then they must have made a real good business decision. I mean, it can never be easy in terms of serving. Maybe you have 1,000 clients and everybody needs to call and get that done. It's I think it's mind-boggling, but it's what it is. That's how the world is working. And the thing is that also the customers and your clients whom you serve are very They want instant support, instant help. And if they believe that that's not happening. And if they have an alternative, there is no loyalty. People buy because people buy for many reasons. Even you buy for many reasons. You'll buy maybe because the person who you've connected to, the person who's selling to you, the price is right. There are many things. This is a good brand, it works well for me and stuff like that. But it's in a heartbeat for you to lose to change loyalty. So that's something that businesses always struggle with. How do we retain loyalty? By how do we make sure that our customers retain loyalty to us and they will not move at heartbeat? Okay. So the last one as we move on is Log needs to coordinate the HR services. Log is all the entries that we do, and it's actually very front office. It's very observable, and it's almost the first thing. Even as you're employed, it's the first thing that you do. You see HR or the person who's whatever. So it's I keep on saying, you don't have another opportunity to make a first impression. Make the first impression count. So making sure that you're the front office, and the front office, even when people come, a smile, making sure that you're connecting, you're solving their problems, not always, but giving them the satisfaction and the knowledge that they have gone out, knowing that that has been done correctly. Looking at some cognizant of time now. Thank you for those contributions. So David Orich, he's nice. I mean, follow him on his social media platforms. He's really, he came to Kenya a couple of years ago, and he really gave a good introduction to HR business partnership. Okay, so these are the models. This is really the model as HR as a business partner. What will you be expected to do? You will be expected to be a HR business partner, an administration partner, expert, an employee advocate, and a change champion. Those are the four. And even as we unpack these four, I'm sure when you look at it, you say, I already do these things. So what we are trying to say is that if you're going to make it from a structured point of view and say that, even our business is starting to change, they're starting to think about a shared service and becoming a center of excellence. So you already know these things. What will I be expected to do? Understand the business, and then after that, unpack some of the things that are required. As a HR business partner, some of the things that are extremely important: act as a single point of contact for HR functions, shared HR and business goals, lead difficult HR projects and conversations, identify top talent across the units, design a HR plan for departments, and sell HR solutions. What do we mean by selling HR solutions? Whom are we selling the solutions to? Selling HR solutions?
I can try. Is it to
Yes,
the heads of departments and the employees? That's
Sell
my
HR solutions, yeah. Get buy-in. I want practical aspects of some of the solutions that we sell to the business. Every day you're selling, you're positioning yourself to sell. Burial, HR solutions that we sell.
Just to try, for example, if we're talking about an organization, a corporate culture, in terms of just getting people to understand why that culture, what it's in for them, and what they stand to gain if they did that. So you're just telling them, if you do this, we get this. You're selling it.
Yeah, true. Other solutions that we can sell. That we sell.
I can try developing capabilities on performance management, because it's needed for staff to be able to perform well to achieve the strategic objectives of the organization.
Very true. So we sell all sorts of solutions. We sell solutions for the business. If let's say we are looking at how we compensate people in the organization and we want to see what the market is, so we can go and say we want to carry out a job evaluation. So you're selling that HR solution from a strategic point of view. We sell HR solutions through our policies and procedures that we put in place so that we've got solutions, everyday solutions for the business. You know, we sell solutions in terms of we have identified gaps in our people, and we need to take them for training. So we are always selling solutions, and think yourself as a shop that people come to and wanting to buy. What kind of products do you have? You have really products that will meet the needs of your buyers. So when you start thinking like that, then you're better placed to say, these are the strategic solutions that I want to sell to the business that will solve the problems that are not the problems or will support the business. And these are every day that we have developed. So think about going to a shop every day. You will not buy a couch for your living room every day. If you're going to change your couch, it takes a long time, and you say, oh wow, and you shop around and you make sure that you get the right one. But every day maybe you might need bread at home, bread and milk. So those solutions, why do you need bread and milk every day? You know, and that's why I say, as a front office, because you're a front office, those solutions people know, and they know that they work. And why do they work? Because they've been tried and tested, and you know that people understand them. So even when you want to increase them in terms of their offering, people already do understand, and it's easier for you to be able to champion. And that brings me to the change champion. As a HR business partner, you are required to support the business strategy implementation, lead change management components of cross-functional projects, navigate employees through the change, provide guidance and coaching to manage the employees. As a change champion. And change champion is something that really should be the desire of every HR business partner. Those ones of change is inevitable. Change will come. Change will come in many ways, you know. And even as you sell your products and solutions, you should be able to say, how is this change going to impact the people? How is it going to impact the business? Always think, how is it going to impact the people? Are people going to be resistant? Are people going to welcome that change? So you start those discussions from long time ago, bringing them and asking for people's buy-in and solutions, so that when the change is anchored and now it's being brought home, people already are comfortable with the change. So whatever change that needs to be done for the business, for the people, you need to know that you're going to position yourself as the change champion. Okay. Never easy, but it's one of the things for you to become a strong business partner that you need to do. Administrative expert, and why do we say that as a HR business partner, you need to be a strong administrative expert? Run the effective personnel administration and payroll. These are really some of the operational things that you do. Provide accurate data to other departments in the organization. Ensure full compliance of HR procedures and processes. You might not be the one doing it. If you're a small company, of course, you will be expected to be an expert in doing the work now as a HR administrative whatever. Because if you do it from a central point of whatever, it has the impact in the whole organization. If you close payroll well, and it's one of your key functions, then it's felt in the whole organization. So it's for you to understand what are some of the administrative things that you will need to do that contribute significantly to the business. So that's important. And an employee advocate runs regular employee surveys, protects employees and protects their interests during management discussions, collects and asks feedback from employees. From all these, the models of a HR business partner, I can tell you employee advocate pillar is the most difficult while trying to be a strong business partner to the business. Why is that so? We already had one from Anthony. Why is that so? Why is it so difficult while you're supposed to really, and why would you be advocating for the employee?
I find it difficult because it's a balancing act between the employer and the employee, really. What the employees want, what the employer can give. So it's really, as you've said, it's a difficult aspect really to ensure you balance. Employees want this. They want probably their pay increased by this much. And they also want probably certain facilities that the employer may not have budgeted for that particular year. So it's a delicate balance between the employee's interest and the employer's interest.
The perception versus the reality. Thank you. Someone else? More practical aspect. And how can we as HR experts try to really be strong employee advocates?
Sorry, maybe I can just try. Yeah. When it comes to employee advocating, for a business, they have their minds or their vision set on specific goals. So for example, if it's performance, they might not want to understand how this performance is achieved, how this person, the work environment they're in, the kind of, is it the workload or something of sort? So as a HR practitioner, you come in with a human aspect of understanding. For Beryl to perform, she needs so and so, or she needs this and this, she needs to rest for 2 days in between the week. So it's something that you also promise the business to get what they want, but in the meantime, you're asking for support for these employees so that they can actually contribute or add value to the business.
Thank you. So really a win-win situation. How are we balancing? You want so much from me. You want to be a slave driver. That it was so funny. Organizations are slave drivers. And then you also not meeting your part of the bargain. So that needs to be balanced between the employer and the employee. How best do we meet each other in the middle without feeling that one is taking undue advantage, let me put it like that, over the other? That psychological contract is extremely important for any employee to be able to deliver. All these other contracts that we know, employment contract, I have signed it. My compensation contract, I'm okay, I have signed it. But that psychological contract is what everybody needs to now really make sure that we understand each other, where we are coming from. As much as, yes, we're here to perform, these are the targets, but also what kind of space and environment are you providing for me to be able to do that? So the reality, the business, the employees also are pushing. On this other side, the employer is pushing. How do we bring each other? And as a HR practitioner, business partner, how are you taking it back? What's your balance as well? What can we say? If you're running employee surveys from time to time, if people are not completing them, then there's apathy. Why are you running them? I mean, maybe you've run them so many times and people have given their feedback and their explanations, but you're not willing to do what? You're not willing to implement some of the things they say. And some of the things are low-lying fruits. Very, 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 very. But management is always pushing, dragging their feet to be able to do that. So even when you do this, sometimes I keep on saying, draw people, draw people from every department. Be not the only one who's doing these things. Again, business partnering. If you're going to do this, let it not just be, okay, HR has initiated the survey, well and good. Let the committee be the one looking at those questions. Are these questions good enough, representative of what we want to find out? Run the survey. Let the committee be the one, so that you are not just left the baby and the bathwater, but there are people who are championing that cause. And sometimes you will be so surprised that your champions come from, you never thought that they would be the ones, isn't it? It might be the driver who has such good influence over people. and be able to say, let's do this, and maybe just advocate, and people are able to do it. So look for champions who have the business in their heart. They do support. They are not people to antagonize the business, and they will be objective. Actually, it's the word I was looking for. People who are objective, to try and balance this employer advocate. You want to be seen as people, you care for people, and that's what people want to know, is that you care about them when they work here and give them a good experience. But then they will be able to deliver. When you show you care, you can hard hit them on, give me the results then. We've done this, we are not perfect, whatever we're able to do, we will do, but also bring the results home, okay? Feel free to just give us experiences of what has happened at your workplace. So what are some of the general responsibilities that are in HR business partner as HR, but as a HR business partner? So we said from a HR perspective, and what we have now realized, what is HR business partnership? Recruiting new employees, but as a HR partner, you go and consult with line managers. Whom do you want to bring on board? I do understand you have the position of a salesperson to bring on board, but how visualize for me your ideal salesperson? You paint a picture for me, and then you'll be, okay, I hear you. So let's work together in terms of whatever. So, but in HR recruiting, maintaining HR policies and records, providing the daily HR guidelines. Remember the front office aspect, administering compensation, analyzing trends and metrics with the HR department to make sure that we really have whatever, we really do, the data is supporting us to make informed decisions. Ensuring employee wellness, working closely with management to make sure that employee programs and wellness programs are really being articulated, and management is at the heart of it in terms of positioning it. I'm just hoping that as HR experts, when we have themes, there was a whole month of October, was it September or October? Remind me, was earmarked for employee wellness. What did we do? Did we come out as strong business partners and say, the world over, global, is celebrating, championing mental wellness, whatever? What are some of the things that we did? Or we just let it slide? Of course, there's nothing that we do here. What did you do? So if there are big themes around that, how are we even, and some of those things are so easy to do. If you don't have a budget, leverage on your networks. You know a friend of a friend. I mean, I'm looking at, talk to someone and say, this month I'm looking at doing something. I have no budget, but you know so-and-so, and they are so good at employee wellness, they champion. Are you able to get them for me on pro bono? Work with your networks to be able to bring things home. And during your town hall meeting, have 30 minutes of that person coming in and giving. People go out refreshed. I keep saying there is no way that we will not win as a HR business partner at the workplace. No way. Just thinking differently, wearing a critical thinking hat, and by the time people are looking and say, oh wow, it's different having you. It's refreshing. So even when you have no budget, you have no foresight, ask around your networks, who's able to do this for me? If it's Christmas and we are going now to the holiday season, sometimes it's rushed and whatever. Are you able to bring in someone who can motivate people, just a small motivation, whatever? This is what we have done as a business. This is what it is. Position ourselves as we bring in next year, 30 minutes. Maybe you don't have budget for a Christmas party, but share tea. I'm sure during the staff meeting, maybe we'll have staff tea, but try and get some snack or muffin or whatever it is, but bringing in a guest speaker who will be able to look at people and say, well, while it is difficult of what it is, the economy and everything, but how do we self-motivate ourselves? Things like that, low-lying fruits where people come and say, oh, nice, different, happy, and you've made an impact to the business. So working closely with the management and say, if budgets are tight, I have other ways to show support to the business. As a HR, well, what we normally do is maintain company programs, but as HR, you are providing HR policy guidelines, unpacking it one by one, saying this is what it will mean for the business. This is how it's going to support the business. This is how we cover ourselves from any risk or any liability. Handling employee concerns, but on the other side, as a business partner, we are looking at monitoring and reporting on workforce and succession planning. If you're not there, I talked about it earlier. How do you make sure that every position in your business is actually covered for? Are you aware of your critical positions? And those critical positions, have you mapped them out and say, this is what we need? If this person was to leave today, and they hold a critical position, do you have someone ready to be able to fill the position so that there's no impact to the business? The key question one I keep asking all the time is that if your MD or CEO, whatever title you give them, was to leave today, would there be a gap? Would a gap be felt? Well, different organizations do things differently. We respect those processes, but are you able to refine those processes and make sure that there is no gap? Okay, handling risk management, evaluating your training programs, and suggesting new strategies for you to be able to do what? To be able to make sure that your risk management is actually aligned and there is no liability to the business. Any question? Any question? Anything that you have done differently for the business? And when you think about it now, is that, wow, I partner well with the business. You would like to share? Welcome, everybody. Anyone? Hands up. Something that you would like us to learn from what you have done. It's good for us to share and to make sure that we are going out knowing that, wow, okay, I didn't know that was really good for the business. I hear it for the first time, but maybe this is what I do. Okay, let's move on. So future-ready HR business partner roles and responsibility. What do you really need to think what you need to do in the future, could be doing now? Strengthening the company culture and employee experience. We also talk about employee experience. What is employee experience? The other day I was planning for a big conference, and then the lead consultant in event management saying, people are coming for the conference experience. I was just like, ooh, unpack it for me, interesting. What is employee experience? And how do we make sure that we are doing that?
I can try to respond, and I think it's the kind of a experience that employees experience. Allow me to use the same word to describe the same word. It's the experience that the employees get from the day they walked into that organization throughout their life cycle up to the time they exit. Even as they are exiting, what experience are we giving them? Are we giving them hope of rehire? So I think it really starts from the day they walk in, through their maintenance in the organizations, through their growth in the organizations, through the way we reward them in the organization, the way they interact with each other, the way they interact with their managers. So if it's a pleasant and health experience, then we are likely to see high retention levels. We are likely to see the business grow. We are likely to see us achieving our strategies and our results. So I think it's really the way, I don't know how to describe it, but it is exactly that.
Exactly. It's the experience that we give the employees from the time they come in to the time we leave. I want to hear some of the things that maybe you have done differently. Anthony?
I think employee experience is a whole package of what employees go through on a daily basis in an organization during their lifetime. in the organization, and what input they bring and what the organization does for their well-being in the organization. And some of the things that bring a whole difference in the organization is the role of HRBP as a counselor to the employees. I mean, on a daily basis, how much do we talk, even on an individual capacity, to employees, and encourage them and tell them it is, even though the work environment is not conducive, how much do we keep on telling them it's going to be better, and encouraging them on improving their productivity and performance for them to be better employees. I think for HRBPs, it is important to know that the employees rely so much on them, because when they get a bashing from the line managers, who do they run to? They run to the HRBPs, and they want to get some kind of a counseling on how better they can be as employees.
Yeah. I keep on saying that everything rises and falls on management. No matter how good a strategy you have and you don't have a good culture. And unpacking a good culture, it's the look and feel, the warmth, the ability to collaborate. Now, collaboration is the buzzword everywhere. A conducive working environment gives people the opportunity to be self-motivated. And then you also put in motivation programs for people to continuously be motivated. And how do we build a strong culture? It's me and you. I mean, nobody has more rights over the other person. Now we're talking about employee experience, because employee experience, they are the observable things, they are the tangible things, and they are the things that I feel as a person that this is a good place to work. Employee experience from a perspective of the employer is that I am going to make you successful, and making you successful is that I am going to support the work that you do, providing the tools and everything that is required, and I'm going to expect results from you. I'll continuously improve your capacity, and then I will demand from you, and then I am going also to create an environment, all of us, that is conducive. We're able to speak up, and we're able to say, this is not good for us. Talking about our culture, what do we want? And defining what our culture is, defining our values. If one of our values is integrity, how do we unpack integrity so that we are not assuming that everybody knows what integrity is? Of course, we know from the definition, but how do we live integrity in this organization? And what are the consequences of not living integrity? And making sure that we are also, one of our KPIs, which people do not look at so critically, in fact, it should be the first one, is how do we live our values? Because those are the soft skills that we are bringing. If one of our values is customer focus, for example, how we dealing with customers internally and externally, then all those other things can follow. If you're supposed to recruit 5 people in the business this year, and you recruited only 3, and that was your KPI, you can answer why you recruited only 3. And either you will have failed or passed because of various things that happened in the year that you are not able to recruit. If your turnaround KPI of recruitment is 90 days, and all these data that shows that you don't recruit within 90 days, then you're either failing or you're having that discussion. The hard facts are there, but also the observable ones. That employee experience is very key. Just like what we are saying. Rachel? Have your hand up.
Yes, I wanted to contribute to that if you still have an opportunity.
Yeah.
I feel that communication is very important. Most companies communicate. So you just discover that things are happening and you do not know where they're coming from. And employees feel lost in a jungle of miscommunication. So communication is very difficult. I want to also give an example that demonstrates what employee experience is. And I have quite I'll just give one.
Yeah.
I work in a company that, well, I feel has been progressive over time. And during COVID, most employers had to restructure, maybe even send some staff home, deduct salary. It wasn't an easy time to the employer and also to the employee. So our managing director then did, of course, there were agitations and push. We need to deduct employees, otherwise the business will not remain afloat. So we need to implement maybe a 35% cut. And here is what for us. And I remember that was supposed to take maybe to start in May, the deductions. Of course, because COVID season prolonged, our deductions came at, I think it was 10%, and that was sometime in October to December. But what happened after that, of course, the managing director, together with the senior management team, they were saying this company has been performing well in the past. So why would we punish employees and not cushion them? And this is not their making, as much as the company is not making a lot of money as expected or revenue as expected. So what amazed us is that later on we were given a token just to, to tell us, sorry, this was not our intention. As much as you did bonus in this year, COVID year 2020, as much as we deducted 10% within these 3 months, we are going to give you a token. And it felt so good, like someone cared, because even as an employee, you could see what was happening all around them and even in Kenya. But your employer to say, it's okay, we did not do what normally do, give bonus and what have you, and it's not all about money, but we're just going to give you a token, maybe 20,000 for each employee, so that you still feel appreciated and you can, fill in some soil on the dents. Yeah. So that, so much of employee experience is not what we say, but it is also what we do. It is in our action.
Exactly what we do. Well done, well done. And I'm sure many of us have, even us as individuals who are employed, because we're employed, and we'll be expected to be the ones championing employees' experience. And I'm sure maybe Rachel, you also, from a HR perspective, or whether you are the one also saying that, what does it mean to cut employees' salaries, or to reduce, or to give people forced leave or something like that? There was a lot of discussion around what are the risks and what does the law say. So giving that input and making sure that you are supporting the business as a HR business partner is important. I've seen employees' experience from a tangible point of view. Think about if you're going to join a new organization, and by the time you are joining on the first day of work, you find a package on your desk. You find maybe a branded notebook, you find your job description, you find a water bottle, or from a wellness perspective, you find a branded t-shirt, you find branded merchandise for the company. Given that, people make a decision to stay with the company or not in the first month of their employment. But because jobs are few and far between, people would be changing jobs like this. I can tell you for a fact. How you engage people, giving that employee experience, and once they settle, then making sure that you are driving performance and you are supporting them really calls for a lot of that experience. At anything that you can be able to support the employee, to give them a good experience, is important. So as a HR business partner, you need to prepare for future of work, and future of work, and future of work has been referenced a lot. There's a lot about future of work from an ILO perspective, from the International Business Forum. If you're not following these people on their social media pages, please, whatever, how does future of work look like? Everybody, future of work needs to be decent. That's the opening statement. What is decent? Giving people an opportunity to be able to do work that is within their expertise, paying them a decent wage and stuff like that. Being a coach and a consultant, and what does coaching mean? And because maybe I'm a coach, I'm very happy discussing this is that giving people the opportunity to excel in what they do and not giving them solutions all the time. Let them be the ones coming up with their own solutions. It's sustainable and people are more motivated. Putting business acumen to work, bringing in the entrepreneurial spirit, even you yourself, that is the role and responsibility. You'll be expected to understand the business and bring in, if this business was mine, how would I run it? I keep giving a litmus test. For me is very easy to know whether people engage and people have the heart of this business. I keep asking randomly for a long period of time. I go and say, whoa, how are we doing? You have a good banter. And then when you're leaving and say, if today is your birthday, if this business was given to you, would you take it? Would you take it? Would you buy it with all the liabilities, the loss, the interest, everything? Would you position? Do you think this is a good brand to buy? Listen subtly. If we got an opportunity to buy this business, me and you, would we buy it? If this business was being sold, sasa leo alisema watauza hii business. Can we go to the bank and get some money to buy it? The simple things. Observe people, how they walk into your organization in the morning. Do they come in with a spring? So very observable. Putting the business acumen to work. Building a competitive organization, and for you internally, that's very important. How does a competitive organization look like? You're a trailblazer in the market. People want to come and work for you. Internally, people are competitive as teams for them to be able to deliver. Competitive in a way that we know that if production is going to bring in the goods out in good time, we'll be able to position them in the market shelf. And we'll be able. So a competitive organization, if you're looking at our competitors, what are they doing? Why are they ahead of us? And what should we be doing differently? Run on your own race, but competition also makes you do things that you need to know that you need to keep afloat. Would you be termed as the center of excellence if there was a benchmarking to be done? Would people say that's the place to go? So building a strong competitive advantage internally and externally is a key role and responsibility of the HRBP. Empowering leaders. How are you doing that? Through discussions, through communication, through your culture, through training, through evaluating them and getting feedback from the teams that they lead. That's something that we forget to do. That can I ask for feedback from the teams that whatever? And people, because we have not developed that culture, people are shy. Why are you taking? I'm the leader. Why would you be asking? But a strong leader, in fact, will be the one saying, evaluate me, give me feedback. How am I leading? What's my leadership style? I'll use different leadership styles for different circumstances. If there's something burning, I'll take full responsibility, and this is the direction that we need to go to before we start thinking. And if we're in a safe space, then we say, let's discuss and let's whatever. So a leader who's able to come and say, I want honest feedback from my teams. And so they have no reason to shy away. So empowering those leaders from the very junior ones to the very senior ones, because everybody is a leader in their own right. Using data to make and influence decisions. If you're going to come and say, I'm losing people because they're going to competition, because competition is paying better, you have data to mark it up. We are not doing well in this area because I have done a gap analysis, and this is what the data is saying. We need to train people in this area. So making sure that you have data and collecting that data every day, and the basic ones, you are reporting on the very basic ones, but going up a step further and collecting data, long-term data, and saying, how is it informing the business? So some of the things that we really need to be aware of is being strong in data analytics. And there are many courses, free ones. You can take someone who's strong at that, help you, and starting from that position to make sure that you're using data to influence decision, because data does not lie. It's supported, and it's not things that you have imagined. Okay, so future ready HR business partners, I'm sure maybe you are doing some of this. If you're not doing, start. If you're doing them, where can you increase more from a business perspective so that you are bringing business results? Okay. Any question, any rejoiner, please feel free to do that. Yeah. So what are the 4 models from that we need to look at? So you will see the framework on your slides. Is that the change agent, what we talked about, the strategic business partner, the administrative expert. From the administrative expert and the pillar of HR functions, those are day-to-day operational focus, and they also focus they focus on people. When you're looking at yourself as an administrator and a strategic partner, you're looking at the processes, of course. If you're looking at the strategic and change agent, you're looking at the future and the strategic focus of the business, and what will you be driving at as change agent and employee champion. Of course, you'll be looking at people. So it sits so well. In fact, if anything, I keep on saying, have this slide and have it on your, either on your desk, or if you have a notice board or something in your office, a board that you can pin it and say, as HR, if I'm looking at as a change agent, it will impact on people. And how do I want to impact people? It has to be negative. Sometimes change will be resisted, like what we said, but how are we going to show that even when you're resisting change, show the future, the benefits of how we're going to derive it. So it's just for you to understand that future ready HR business partners, the 4 strategic pillars that you'll be expected to push and to understand, you will be looking at processes, you'll be looking at day-to-day operations. Remember the front office, the future and strategic focus of the business, and definitely looking at the people. Any question? Okay, let's look at each. So the strategic partner, we say, is there to help manage and develop the growth of the workforce and the business. They look at the customer or the clients to see what they could make it better, and they review the systems and processes that might help to deliver what the customer wants and meet most effectively. So that's internally and externally. The thing is that from a HR business partnering and also from HR, most of the times we never think that we are connected to the external clients, which we are, because once we put it right internally, the people, let's say the salespeople who really are in touch with the external people, it is us who make it possible. So always think, and also as a strong HR business partner, let's say at a cocktail where you can bring in business as well. And that's why I keep on saying, everybody has an opportunity to sell the business and to bring a sale to the business. You've gone for a cocktail and you've met someone and they ask you, where do you work? And it's your position, it's your chance to pitch, your boiler speech. It's your chance to pitch and say, this is what we do. Do you see a business opportunity? And take down their number and call in your salesperson and say, I've got something that could turn into a business. Have opportunities to sell your brand. If it's people who are looking for jobs, position yourself as, if there was ever a position, they will remember and say, that's a place I would like to work. So there's no way that you have no opportunity to make a mark to the business, because all these opportunities present themselves. So not just internally and externally. And things, do you do that a lot? When you get those opportunities, do you position your brand in a way that people will remember? Administrative expert, the administrative expert has more of the internal focus role. They manage the cost, people, and overall delivery of the day-to-day business as usual to make sure that there is efficiency. The change agent, like what we saw, the change agent looks at the company's overall culture and thinks about how to make it better from a personal and professional perspective, we also role models, and people sometimes just think, well, HR, I'm watching. So make your show really count and make it good so that people can be able to watch and say, wow, what a show, every time you put up a good show. They will connect with the line managers to lead and facilitate change to make the organization a better place to work for everyone. And the employee champion aids employees to speak up and ensure they feel heard and respected at the workplace. They support the delivery of processes and practicalities that ensure safeguarding, and they can also help to make sure the company's people are happier and healthier, which is a huge overall benefit to the organization. People need to feel happier. People need to be more friendly to each other. So as a change champion, that is important when we unpack this model. Any question before we go some of the issues and challenges affecting HRBP? And I'd like for us to look at it from a practical perspective. We're moving on pretty fast. Any question? So have that here. What are some of the issues that affect HR business partners? Actually, hide this slide. There could be as many as we are. When you think about it, what are some of the things that affect issues that affect HRBP, business partnering, practically some of the pain points that we need to all agree that these are real pain points, and people, what are some of the solutions that we have come up with? HR is hard work. In my next lifetime, I won't be HR. I love it, but I keep thinking, whoa, I don't know, I'll come back as what?
Maybe if I can give one challenge I know of is when it comes to people management, all the line managers have always left that to the HR. So they cannot even make some small decisions from where they sit with the authority they have. And then everything will just be escalated to HR with minimal input from them.
Minimal input from them. Even when we want them and we tell them that you are responsible, that's always a big challenge, But why is that so? Is it the traditional way? Is it because HR has been known to be the people agenda? Is it traditional? Is it people being indecisive in decision making? Is it lack of training and experience? What really makes us be so stuck in that era, not moving as fast as we want, despite knowing that now businesses came and said, HR business partnering. HR will come to you. HR will support you, will give you the skill, and you'll be able to run because they understand your business. Everybody understands what everybody is supposed to be doing. Why are we still stuck in that era? Why are we still stuck in that era? And what can we do? What have you done? Is it what it is? Did we resign to fate? Also, we feel that our jobs will be at stake if we empower them too much. That could also be something that maybe we fear. Anyone who'd like to share? Burial? Maybe just to...
I think for me, it's just a thought. It's maybe because the HR as a practitioner is evolving. It's changing with each and every time. But maybe many companies have not acknowledged that evolution of a HR is not just people management, disciplinary, and checking if you're dressed well, that they're part of the business from a strategic view. You've had issues of where from strategic decision making, you'll find that HR is not even at that position. So they make a business decision and then they throw it to the HR to do an implementation. So there's no that partnership. And maybe that's why it has always been not so much acknowledged in many organizations.
We remember when there's a problem, HR can whatever. But in terms of being in the centerfold for decision making, then it's still sometimes is not given the rightful place. And sometimes even if it is invited to join the board and the whatever, sometimes you can observe it's really lip service, until you're able to show how important HR is and people to understand, then you're better placed. Yeah. Sometimes it's very lukewarm. I feel sorry when people tell me it's very lukewarm, and it's just to check the box. Anybody else? Anthony?
No, like we said, there lacks collaboration. Even the senior management do not seemingly want to put up a budget for HR activities, and more often than not, the HR are actually left to rubber stamp what the line managers want. At some point, we actually find ourselves in a quagmire, because if you don't support the business, the senior management will feel like you are a saboteur of the business activities, and therefore sometimes you actually agree with them even if you are feeling like it is not the right time to agree.
Yeah, there is the 3 P's of the business: people, planet, and the profit, isn't it? And unfortunately, that analogy has been changed over time. It's always profit, profit, profit. But in the true sense is that we need first to look at the people. And that's how it is. But it has changed over time because we became very capitalistic, business wanting to get ahead, managers being put under pressure, and we lost the plot. You need to go back and redefine that statement. And redefining that statement, it's what it is. It's the world order. That it's first about people. Let's talk about people. Let's get the people right. Let's get the people agenda right from the very beginning. Then what happens is that the planet conspires to come to us, and then the profits just follow naturally. I have a 3-point agenda for me, and people know. It's about people. My first agenda, I have 3 P's: people, people, people. So my agenda, my first agenda could be performance management. This meeting, I've come with they know standard. Okay, your 3 P's, tell us, and I said, make it a running joke, but this is where we are. So making sure that you are coming in from a more braver point of view. That's what I'm trying to say. From a HR, and it's never easy. I'm not saying that it's not easy. Some people work in bureaucratic organizations. Some people work in progressive organizations. Some people work for SMEs, small SMEs, where it's the owner wants some change here, they don't want this change. So I'm saying that environments are very different. But if you are really going to impact and show the impact that is going to bring to the business, then we need to be a bit more brave as HRs and say, this is really going to support the business. And this, it's going to be done through people. And my agenda, this is my 3-point agenda around people. So bring that narrative back home and say, be a bit more hard-hitting. That's what I'm saying. And show the results. And sometimes I like to take it to the extreme and say, so the consequences, it's as simple as this. Some people, okay. Okay, that's fine. So bring people to your side and say, sometimes I'll also say a little, how would you like to be treated if you're on the other side? If you are the person you're asking to do this, and very well that it's a bit more difficult, how would you like to be treated? So making sure that the coaching agenda is very right in organizations, but sometimes we take coaching from a very negative position instead of saying we have the opportunity to spark potential in everyone. So I understand where we're coming from. It's never easy, but where we can find the ability to penetrate and make it better, let's make sure that we are doing that. This kind of
Maybe I
forums
can
help
add something.
to do that. Yeah, yes, please.
Yeah, maybe I can just add on the discussion going on, some of the
Yeah.
issues affecting
Yeah,
HRBP.
yeah.
I agree with what also has been said. There's always that you find yourself in the middle, no man's land as HR. The management wants this, the employees want this. So even that partnering sometimes becomes very hard because you yourself, who's supposed to be the one who's like the diplomat in the middle, bringing people together, you're the one who's under siege.
I know.
So, and I agree with what you have said, Catherine, which was very funny, that in my next life, I don't want to be HR. It's a lot of work, but it's a beautiful thing as you also,
Yeah.
one of the things very fulfilling is as you are a coach mentoring where you're finding a way of bridging this gap between the management and the employees. And then now you work seamlessly moving forward.
Very true.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's a no man's land. That no man's land is very difficult sometimes around how do I really just manage? How do I balance? And sometimes it's who's there for the strong. And I hope even as HR business partners here or his HR professionals, we have punching grounds that we can go to. We have people that we can talk to and say, wow, I need to keep my sanity. This I feel hard pressed in terms of that, and having avenues to be able to distress. It's important as HR. I'm not saying you go out and say your company's confidential information, but just you as a HR, what would you do if you're in this position of mine that I need to support the business and I also need to show that we care for the people? And HR, we just need to keep our sanity. So if you have those employee programs, my company has ICAS. I'm sure maybe some of you know ICAS. ICAS is a beautiful platform. You just call someone there and say, hey, I want to speak. Let me speak. What do you want us to speak about? So don't miss those opportunities, whether it's through your medical programs and stuff like that. Have them. Go speak. Go come to these forums and say, how can I be able to make it better? Have your clique. You need to have. It's not a cartel. Have a clique. I'm saying cliques and HR cliques but not cartels. Cartels have a different way of working. So anyway, we all know, and we can do better. So remember the people, planet, and profit. That's how it goes. So business partnering involves many challenges, issues, and debates from the model itself to titles, performance, relationships, and tensions that seem to go with the role. Sometimes just tensions that you don't know where they're coming from. They're coming from the fact that people are expecting a salary increment. People are looking at you, and even you. Sometimes what I keep saying to people as well is that, I'm also an employee in this company. So once I have that conversation, me, Catherine, pia mimi ni mfanyikazi huku. Pia mimi niko na contract. Pia uko na kazi yako na mimi niko na kazi yangu. Then we start having that laugh and say, now what do we do as two employees? So let's talk about two employees in the same quagmire. Even me, I need a raise. So how can we make this raise? And then now we feel that we're in a good place to start that discussion. So people also know, people must also remember that you are also an employee. This number. My employee number is 200, for example. And that person who comes, even me, I'm employee number 302. Okay, so we all employees, we want to do a good job. So for me as a HR business advocate, and start thinking of how to better have that relationship. So many organizations are struggling to make business partnering work effectively, like all what we have said, to be applying the David Urich model itself of how to interpret the roles, structure, and outputs. We want to remain at the operational place. Do payroll, give the contracts, whatever. We don't want to progress as a business. We know we want to be strong business partners. We are the ones who have gone. The MD went for a conference there and had how to manage HR is to make sure you have HR business partners. They came from that conference and said, from today, HR business partnering, without understanding what it is, how it is implemented, how it is going to work for the business. But because it is a buzzword, and how consultants we will remain in business, let me tell you, is because we love these people who hear good things in conferences and seminars, and they go and want to implement them in their businesses while they have no foresight. And then you come and say, you need an expert. Long live consultancy. We've heard about coaching, and that's how sometimes I get into coaching opportunities, because people say, coaching will work for us. And I know coaching works. And then coaches are called to come and try and implement. So look for those business opportunities. I'm not saying that people need to implement haphazardly. People need to understand, and experts will need to come in. So consultancy will become, it's always a good minefield to come and support businesses. But the traditional way of doing HR, which we have looked at, this is where we want to stay in. And that's a big challenge. While we know that HR business partnering is what will give us good results that will run and we can show for it. Difficulties include uncertainty over the approach, inadequate preparation, and weak implementation. Integrating its components part is